morning, everyone, and welcome to Catawba View Dairy's virtual chat and farm tour. I am Brittany with the Discover Dairy program, and we are so excited that you are joining us today as we get to meet Farmer Kim and, of course, our adorable adopted calves, Millie and Elsie. Today's tour wouldn't be possible without the generous support of Dairy Alliance and the Dairy Excellence Foundation. So, thank you to both of those organizations for making today possible. First, this live tour is part of the Adopt a Cow program. And for anyone that is new to the Discover Dairy and Adopt a Cow program, it is free online resource that covers Common Core standards in science, reading, and math, all while using dairy concepts to teach those lessons. Those resources can be found at www.discoverdairy.com. We'd also love for you to join the Adopt a Cow Fund next year if you've enjoyed this year. So if you're interested in joining again, registration will be open on August 1st, and that will be at discoverdairy.com/adopt. And we'll go ahead and throw that in the chat feature here for you so you can get that link. So again, it's discoverdairy.com/adopt. Next, as everyone continues to join us live today, you will see the live chat feature is enabled, and we can see many of you have found that live chat feature. So we're going to go ahead and go through that real quick and see who's all joining us. We've got folks, Mrs. Cook's class from Waynesboro, Miss Taylor's class from Accomack County. Let's see, we've got Mrs. Wolf's second grade class from Beach, Virginia. Mrs. Erica's class from Hurley, Virginia. Oh, let's see. We've got Mrs. Williams' class from Martinsville. Hello, I heard it's a surprise for you guys today. Welcome to our chat. We got Mrs. Stewart's pre-K class. Let's see. Got folks from Sutherland, Virginia, Colonial Heights Homeschool Group. Hello. We've got Miss Sarah's ECSE class from South Boston Early Learning Center. Hello, everybody. Let's see, we also have Woodridge folks who adopted Elsie. Mrs. Sims' class from Culper, Virginia. We've got some Virginia Beach School friends. First and second grade class, hello. Oh my goodness, we have so many folks. Sorry, we don't have a chance to get through all of them here, but we are so excited to have all of you join us. Mrs. Stanley's class, Miss Baker's fifth grade class, Miss Bazer's class. Oh my goodness, how exciting. That is so many people joining us. We are so excited to have you, Miss Hudson's class, Miss Beggar's class, and Miss Snyder's class. Hey, that's my last name too. Hello, welcome. We are so excited to have you guys all here today. So you can feel free to use that live chat feature. Go ahead and enter comments or ask any questions you have while we're on the tour. We are really excited to hear from you, and Farmer Kim is going to be here with us to answer any of those questions. Okay, well, with that, we are pleased to introduce you to Farmer Kim in Virginia at Catawba View Dairy. Hey, Farmer Kim, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you this morning, Brittany?
Oh, we are really excited, and I know we are just beaming with excitement to see these beautiful ladies that you happen to have behind you. But I would love to hear a little bit from you first about your farm, and then maybe get into who those ladies are behind you.
Sure. Well, like you probably already know, my name is Kim, and I run the farm with my husband and our son James, who's 12 years old. We're actually a fairly new dairy farm. We've been operating less than 4 years. So we've had many opportunities to learn a lot about the dairy industry and just really get our feet in the water and get started when a lot of people told us we really couldn't. So we've enjoyed the experience. This farm was originally started in 1955 as a beef cow operation, and also there's a retail pork sausage business and a greenhouse business here, which we still continue to do today. So it definitely keeps us busy. But my main focus and my husband's are the dairy cows and calves and keeping them healthy. So that's generally where we keep most of our attention. As you can see, I'm right here with your girls. Here's Millie here. And as you can see, she's growing a lot. Right now, she weighs about 330 pounds. So definitely gained some weight since your last update. And right there at the camera is Elsie. She's weighing in at about 350 pounds. So she definitely gets her share of food. Um, right now, Elsie is about 40 inches tall and Millie is about 41 inches tall. So definitely growing girls. They've reached about 6 months of age. So it's definitely been a journey with them. I hope you all have enjoyed keeping track of their updates and watching them grow. As you can see from the last update, they're in a little different environment. We have moved them from their individual calf hutches into small group pens. Now you might wonder why we would do that. In their hutches, they can see calves around them and generally, touch noses and stuff like that, but they're not actually in with other calves. So here they learn a little bit about socialization and sharing food, sharing water, and actually, having somebody close to them, bump into them a little bit, and also some close playtime. We've also changed their diet a little bit. As you can see, they still get their hay, just like I showed you in their last update, but they've also gotten a small introduction into a feed we call silage. So this silage is actually a corn plant. It's the entire plant ground up very finely, and then it's all stacked in a large pile, and it's got enough moisture it actually ferments and becomes a very nutrient dense feed for not only the calves but also the mature dairy cows. You can see Elsie really sticking her nose in the camera there. She's always been very friendly. Definitely of the two calves, she's the talker of the group. She really loves to moo anytime she sees anybody come around, but I really think she just wants you to feed her. Anyway, I've really enjoyed getting to know these girls, a little more up close and personal. I think they're going to make great cows when they get older. So I hope you all have enjoyed your journey with them so far. We're going to come back and visit these guys one more time before we leave, but maybe let's get started on the rest of our tour.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. They are definitely very friendly with us this morning, which is wonderful. And we've enjoyed getting to hear with how they're doing. But as Farmer Kim said, we're going to go ahead and give you a live version of the farm that you've been learning about in your updates. So Farmer Kim, I will let you guys take it away. And again, just as a reminder, as your class or you guys all have questions that you want to ask Farmer Kim as we're walking through, go ahead and throw them in that live chat feature and we'll make sure to get to them. If we can't get to them while we're walking around, we'll have that Q&A time at the end while we're back with the adopted calves that we'll be able to answer those questions. Okay, Farmer Kim, I'll let you take it away.
Okay, now I just wanted to give you all a reminder of where Elsie and Millie got their start. This is the rows of calf hutches. I'm sure you saw some in their earlier updates when they were little, but this is where we start all of our baby calves. As you can see, there's 2 rows. There's currently 18 hutches here. And they're also being contained at their hutches with what we call a chain and tether system. So sometimes you'll see like the wires that come around the hutches in pictures or different virtual farm tours, but this is a system that works well for us. So that's what we use. The calves will stay here until they're about 3 months of age. But I really did want to share with you all our newest little addition. If you can see here, maybe that'll bring back a memory for you. This is our newest tiny baby, just born a couple days ago, and you can see her laying there in deep straw bedding, which is what we like to use with all our hutches. Keeps them warm and dry and comfortable. She's already eaten her milk for this morning, so she's a little sleepy. Doesn't really want to talk to us much, does she? But anyway, these hutches also give us a chance to monitor their health very closely. We can monitor their feed intake, be sure they're getting started on their grain, in just a couple weeks, and just generally give them the individual attention that they need. So the hutches is really where we get everyone started at and be able to keep a very close eye on them. As you can see, there's this is Bendy right here, and she's a little older. She's about 3 months old and getting close to going where Elsie and Millie are now sitting. Um, so she's definitely growing, but as you can see, that's what we strive for, nice, big, healthy calves, ready to do their job. So she's a friendly girl too, just like Millie and Elsie. But we'll go down the line here and I'll show you everybody kind of hanging out. Like I said, they've already eaten for the morning, so they're all a little sleepy, a little lazy, just really enjoying their day. Everybody has access to fresh feed and water at all times. And right now it's, approaching spring, and so the weather's a little better. If it was colder, we do have little jackets we put on them to be sure that everybody stays nice and warm. But like I said, they just really enjoy sitting around and being lazy when they're not eating. So this is Sephora. As you can see, she's a little bit younger than Millie and Elsie. She's also very friendly. If you notice, we have two different breeds of calves here. Just like Millie and Elsie, Sephora here is a Jersey. And like the one you just saw a second ago and the one in front, these calves are black and white predominantly, and they are Holsteins. So that's the two main types of dairy calves that you're going to see here at our farm. So we really enjoy all these little girls. Hello, Rita. How are you this morning? As you can see, she's an older calf as well. So she's getting close to being weaned and moving over to the group pens. Now Libby here, she's a little bit more skittish, so she's not sure about what we're doing here. And here's another young lady. Her name is Little T. So she's wondering if I'm going to feed her, and so I'm going to disappoint her here.
Now we had can you just restate what the name was of the youngest calf? And we're curious, how do you come up with these names for these ladies?
Well, the very youngest, I'm sorry, I backed up on your question there. The very youngest little lady that I showed you in the front, her name is Fudge. Her mother's name is actually Brownie, and so which is my son's cow. And so he thought it would be cute to name her Fudge, just like a fudge brownie. So, a little silly, but hey, we'll just go with it. I named some of them. My son named some of them. We just kind of, play with them and feed them a few days and see what their personality's like. Or sometimes if their mother has a name just like Fudge, and Brownie, we can kind of do an association type name. But everyone also does have an identification number, as you've seen in Millie and Elsie. You can also see it in this calf right here. Her name is Audrey, but she also has a number and her birth date on her tag. This is very important for our record keeping. I have paper copies of their numbers and birthdays, their mother and sire, and generally try to keep records on everything about them in the computer as well. So numbers can be a little bit easier, for data entry than names, but their names are also on the backs of their tags too, just because we can. Anyway, we really do enjoy naming our calves. Kind of a perk of being a smaller dairy farm. We do get to know our cows and calves and enjoy getting to know their personalities. So that's sometimes a luxury that we have that some of the very large farms don't. So anyway, that's the little history about that.
Absolutely. Thank you. They are absolutely adorable, as all baby calves almost always are. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. That's been a lot of fun seeing them.
Okay, so I thought we would take a walk here and we'll take a round over to the mature cows. As you can see, as we're walking through here, there's a couple pieces of equipment that we use in our operations around here that tall, really dirty truck you see right there, that is actually a very vital piece of equipment here on the farm. It actually spreads all the manure waste that's created by the cows. And we'll talk about that here in just a minute. And there's also a couple pieces of land management equipment there. The bottom one keeps brush and weeds under control. It's called a bush hog. And the green piece of equipment you see there is our hay mower. And as some of you probably know, hay is really important for large animals during the wintertime when all the green grass dies down. So that's a very important piece for us as well. So let's make our way over here. It's just a little walk.
While we walk on over, we did have a couple questions coming in. So thank you folks for go ahead and entering those questions in for us. Can you remind us, we had some folks who joined a little bit later, how big Elsie and Millie were, about how tall they were?
Sure. Elsie is about 40 inches tall and weighs about 350 pounds. And Millie is about 41 inches tall and about 330 pounds. So they're definitely growing.
Awesome.
Yeah. Now, before we get all the way around to the mature cows, I thought I would give you a little background on that dirty truck we saw just a minute ago. This is a feature of the farm that's actually very important to us. Yes, say, Farmer Kim, why are you showing me this dirty, nasty looking pond? But anyway, this is our manure pit. And what it does is it captures all the manure waste that comes off from our main dairy barn. And it's actually one of the most valuable sources of fertilizer for us, since we grow and produce just about all of our own crops. We work very closely with an expert called an agronomist, which is an expert in soil management and crop production. So we work with them and create a nutrient management plan, and it really helps us do our part, to recycle a waste product that we produce here. But it's actually a very great benefit to us. So I thought I would show you maybe a part that most people don't think about, but we as farmers try to do our best, for the environment. So here we are at the mature milking cows. As you can see, they are sticking their heads through our headlocks and they're enjoying their breakfast. And as you can see, what they're eating is very similar to what Elsie and Millie were eating. This is a ration we call a TMR, which stands for Total Mixed Ration. And this contains that silage component we mentioned a little bit ago, and also some other essential things they need, minerals and some other different sources of protein, hay, like we just mentioned, for some roughage and fiber. So we work very closely with a bovine nutritionist and veterinarian to come up with this TMR, or total mixed ration. We also, monitor it regularly. We take samples and be sure that everything's staying consistent. That way, everybody's getting all the nutrients they need. You can see there that nice spotted Holstein there, that's Skittles. She's she's a younger member of the herd. Definitely an interesting color pattern you don't see on a whole lot of Holsteins. I raised her myself. She's a very friendly girl. She's not entirely sure what's going on, but she's going to investigate. Look at her. Yeah. Now, if you look over in the barn as we're passing by, you can see the cows are mostly laying down, lounging around, just kind of enjoying their day. And this is pretty much what they do when they're not being milked. Right now they're laying on a sawdust stall, which also has a thick rubber mattress underneath of it. Oh, we have some more cows joining us here. But our job is to make sure that they're comfortable here in the barn when they're not being milked. We want them to lay around and just, relax and not be stressed. So here we have Butterscotch and Ivory that have joined us here. They want to be silly and try to lick the camera. These are also jerseys, just like Millie and Elsie. I've always found that jerseys tend to be mostly a little more friendly than some of the Holsteins. Ivory here is exercising her tongue, thinking I'm going to feed her. But anyway, Ivory here, she's actually been in the barn several years. She's had 3 calves for us. So she's definitely a very valued member of our herd. So you'll find many different age ranges and different stages of lactation here in the barn. But yeah, you can just see them all here, just laying around, just being quiet, enjoying their day.
Farmer
We also
Kim.
have.
Sorry, real quick. We had some folks asking, how is Ella and Mary Jane doing?
Ella and Mary Jane are doing great. I was looking for them, but I haven't spotted them yet in the barn. They're probably in back hiding. But both of them are actually expecting their next calf, and they're actually doing very well, going through their daily routine and being milked and staying healthy. They're just overall doing really, really great. So, we're happy to report that on their mamas.
Wonderful. Thank you. I'm sure that'll make everyone happy to hear. And it sounds like our Millie and Elsie will have some siblings. So that's exciting.
They sure will. They sure will. As you can see, there's Ebony. She's going to investigate what's going on. The majority of our barn does consist of Holsteins. Out of about 74 cows, about 30 of them are Jerseys and the rest are Holsteins. So we don't mind milking a mixed group. Some farms do not. Some farms milk exclusively Holsteins or exclusively Jerseys. So that's all well and good, but we just prefer to have a mix.
Now you mentioned there just, about how many you had of each breed. Do you mind talking about just letting us know how many cows you have total on the farm?
Right now we have 73 here milking in the barn. We have in total from age to newborn until 2 years old, about 160 young heifers. So they are kind of spread out around the farm, anywhere between the hutches and the group pens. And we also have another little field that they go into, and also an off-farm location in Eagle Rock for a lot of 1-year-olds. So definitely several head of cows hanging around here, but just right here in the barn is 73.
Wonderful. And we actually had a question from the MPE 5th grade class. How old is your oldest cow?
Our oldest cow is 10 years old. 10 years old. Yep. She hasn't been with us her entire career. Like I said, we've only been farming or dairy farming for almost 4 years. And so we had gotten her from another friend of ours, and she was just a nice, very steady cow. Her name is Bessie, and I don't see her right off the bat either right this moment. It seems like when they're laying down, they're hard to spot. But she's really been a valuable member of our herd, and we really enjoy having her around. She can be kind of a calming factor for some of the new girls that come into the herd and aren't sure about their new routine. So as you can see there, as the camera's looking at all the girls lined up there eating, they'd spend I'd say they'd spend an average of 3 hours per day just eating. So if you notice, all of our cows have collars around their necks. You'll see that wide band and kind of a green piece hanging there under their necks. This is something that we call electronic monitoring. What it's doing for us is it's keeping track of how many hours per day they eat, how many hours they lay down, and also how long they chew their cud. A cow has several compartments in their stomach, and so they regurgitate part of their food and chew it again to move to a different chamber of their stomach. So this is important for us. All of this is actually very important for us to know to monitor their health. Um, we can go onto our computer and take a look at the numbers on an individual cow and see whether or not she needs to be seen by a veterinarian or whether just needs her temperature checked. Maybe her stomach is a little upset, or just any matter of little health issues. Help we can help them a lot sooner by having this electronic monitoring, because they can't talk, they can't tell us they don't feel well, but they can tell us in a different way just by their behavior and mannerisms. So electronic monitoring, definitely a big tool for us, and it's something I couldn't imagine not having, just to try to keep all the cows healthy and happy. So
Wonderful. So it's kind of like having their own little Fitbit, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're hip and stylish just like we are, I guess. So.
Yeah. So we're going to take a walk around here and see if we can reach our next stop, which is going to be our milk room. But if you look right up in front of us, that TMR I mentioned, this is actually a very important piece of equipment that helps us to mix that for the cows. This is a tractor, and the red piece that you see there, that's what we call our mix wagon. It contains huge knives, which are very sharp, and it grinds everything, every component in the feed. It grinds it all up into a nice cohesive mix. That way, the feed is mixed into, just a nice solid blend that nobody can pick out their favorites. So, and behind the mix wagon, you'll also see our grain bins. These hold some of the components that we don't grow here on the farm, such as cottonseed meal, soybeans, canola, and also includes some of the minerals that the cows need to stay healthy, such as salt. So we add several 100 pounds of this mix into the ration per day. Like I said, and this is all helped determined by a nutritionist that helps us, give them everything that they need. So definitely something we use every day, twice a day. Very important piece of equipment for us. So I just thought I would show you a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. Do you mind just saying about how much a cow eats in a day, maybe how much they drink in a day?
Yes. All in all, the mature milk cows eat close to 100 pounds of mixed feed per day and can drink about 40 gallons of water. They have access to fresh water 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so, that's very important for their health and well-being. But they do eat a lot. Right before we go into the milk house, if you look over this way just a little bit, you can see this will be Elsie and Millie's next stop. This is our heifer field, one of the heifer fields. These heifers will stay in here. Like they're pretty similar to Elsie and Millie. Their age range is anywhere from 6 to 8 months. Their purpose in this field is, getting used to being outside. They're understanding the boundaries of fences, being in an even larger group of calves, learning about sharing food with another calf, pecking order, who's boss in the field, and overall just adding yet another component to their diet before they become a mature cow, eating fresh grass, and or hay that we put out during the winter time. So anyway, this is their next stop, and like you can see them there, they're all just relaxing and grazing around a little bit. So they're definitely happy out in there. If you pan around, you can also see a little introduction into our dry cows. These are actually mature cows, just like the ones you saw in the barn, but they're actually enjoying their resting period, or what we call a dry period. So they have 60 days out of the barn, sometimes a little bit more, to where they can just graze and relax and enjoy the sun. Um, and the reason they're out here is because they're very pregnant. They will be having their next calf within that 60-day period. So what they're doing is just recuperating. Some of them, are just resting their feet off of the concrete in the barn and just enjoying having their own little leisure time to be outside. So that definitely a very important part of their yearly routine. Nice dry period to rest themselves and enjoy some green grass and fresh outside air. So
Wonderful. Oh, they look so
yeah,
happy out there. Your fields and your view there is absolutely beautiful. Thank you for sharing that
yeah,
with us.
no problem. So let's make our way to the actual milk house.
All right. While we're walking there, do you mind answering a couple more questions?
Sure.
Okay. So someone asked, are all the cows on your farm girls? Do you have any bulls on the farm? Where do the bulls go if you have any bulls?
We do. We currently have 3 bulls, uh, one of which is a mature breeding bull that breeds our heifers for us. And then we also have 2 younger bulls to replace him. When there are also, let's see, about 20 head of steers here, so and they're younger. So they actually are joining, or a few of them are joining the heifers in that secondary field I just showed you. So yes, there are a mix of boys and girls here on the farm.
Perfect. Awesome. And we can
Yeah.
go ahead and head on into the milk house.
Okay. All righty. So here we are in our milk room. And as you can see behind me, this is the main component of this room, our milk tank. So its job is to store and cool the milk as it comes in from our actual milking parlor, so which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. But the milk stays really nice and cold in here, stays between 33 and 34 degrees, which is really important for maintaining really fresh quality milk until the milk truck gets here to pick it up. Milk tanks come in all different shapes and sizes. This one happens to hold 1,250 gallons of milk, or about 11,000 pounds, which is just right for us, milking 73 pounds. We're almost at its full capacity in a 48-hour period, which is luckily how often the milk truck actually comes. They come and pick it up, whether it's a weekend, holiday, doesn't matter. The milk truck comes to pick up milk, every other day, all year round. So anyway, they're also, a really important part of what we do. So a little bit of fun history on this tank. This one was actually manufactured in the 1970s, and operated at 2 other farms before we brought it here. So definitely, a piece of equipment with some history. Works great for us, and like I said, does a vital part for keeping the milk cold and waiting for the truck. Excuse me. Every shipment of milk also is laboratory tested. Milk that you find in the store never contains antibiotics. So, and that's something a policy we keep here too. So every load of milk is tested for quality, no antibiotics, and make sure it's nice and fresh for everyone at the grocery store.
Right.
So definitely just a little tidbit about our milk tank. And you maybe wonder why this room is so big. You see, we have this one tank in here and then just a bunch of empty space. This room was actually planned for expansion. Um, this summer, we'll actually be adding yet another milk tank in here to get ready for even more cows that we'll have within the next 5 years. So we kind of, made that plan. And so just in case you were wondering why there was so much empty space in here, that's more or less why. All the walls in this room are very, smooth surface and easy to clean. We're inspected here twice a year, be sure that we're doing our job and, nothing that's in here can contaminate the milk or, in any way make it unsafe for anyone. So definitely a room that we're in every day, twice a day. It also contains some of our cleaning equipment, which is kind of hard to see, but it's definitely kind of an epicenter for some of the electronics that are in here. If you look at the top of the tank, you'll see a little mechanism up there, and we call that an agitator. What it does is it keeps the milk stirred. It's got a little paddle, almost looks like a paddle in there, and it turns on every few minutes and it keeps the milk stirred up because right from the farm, milk is in its natural form or raw form. So the fat components of milk will actually rise to the top if it sits very long. So we don't really want that to happen because it would be hard for the milk truck to pick it up. So that agitator there just turns on every few minutes and stirs the milk and keeps everything, nice and easy to work with. So
Wonderful. We had a couple of milk questions, things related to milking, and I know we'll get to go into the parlor here soon, so we might answer them there. But what about how much milk does one cow produce? You said, 73, you can milk all three sides of 73 cows to fit in there, but about how much milk does one cow produce?
our average for our milking cows is about 70 pounds per day. Now, milk weighs 8.6 pounds per gallon. You'll have to forgive me. I'm a little bad at mental math. So anyway, but that's how we actually measure milk is in pounds. That's actually very helpful for the truck drivers because that's more of their interstate system of, how much milk they can haul. So that's sort of why I'm referring to a lot of things in pounds rather than gallons and most people are used to. But yes, our herd average is 70 pounds per cow. Some do give more and some do give a little less. One of our top producers in the herd actually gives 130 pounds of milk per day.
Wow.
And yeah, so definitely a working girl. Um, so yeah.
Absolutely. So anyone that's, that likes math that's listening in, if you want to do that math, feel free, and let us know in that chat what you think it is. So 8.6 pounds per gallon. And if you can do that math and figure out how many gallons that one cow can produce. So thank you, Farmer Kim. I appreciate you answering those questions. One other question about milking. How old are cows when they start milking?
Generally, most cows are 2 years old when they start milking. They've had their first calf and get moved into the barn generally around 2 years of age. Some can be a little younger, some a little older. We try not to rush into things, because we want our cows to be here for several years, just like Bessie, who's 10 years old. We want them to be here for a long time. And so we be sure that they're not ready to come in here, until they're physically mature and are able to do their job and, everything be okay. So yes, about 2 years old is about average for us.
Sounds good. All right. I think we're excited to head on into the parlor.
Okay, let's go on in here.
All right. And while we're walking in there, I'm just enjoying this live chat, everyone. So thank you so much for having such great questions. I do have the list of other questions we haven't gotten to yet. As we have time for them, we'll go ahead and address them. But there was one question that I can go ahead and answer while we get into the parlor. How do you know if a cow is sick? Remember, Farmer Kim actually talked about how they have those collars on, or what we like to call a Fitbit, and they can track how the cow is doing and how much she's moving. And if her activity goes down, that kind of gives Farmer Kim a signal of whether or not that cow is doing well. And if her activity goes down, then she is probably not feeling well. You can also tell by, ears are cold or anything like that. But Farmer Kim knows her animals, so she is definitely good at knowing when a cow is sick and getting them help. And Farmer Kim, I think something happened that you're muted right now. So oh,
Uh-oh.
there we go. Nope, you're good.
There we go.
Awesome.
Are we better?
Perfect. All
Perfect.
right. So go ahead. We'll let you talk about the parlor.
Okay, so here we are in our milking parlor. Now you're going to have to use your imagination for me just a little bit. You remember the cows are all sitting back there resting, lounging, because they've already been milked once today. We milk twice a day, at 6 o'clock in the morning and 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Right here in our parlor holds 12 cows to milk at a time. So if you can kind of, like I said, use your imagination. The cows all come in through these back doors, and when they come in, they're stopped at the front. Their noses are facing towards the wall, and their rear ends are backed up right against this big orange pan right here. So what that does is it actually gives us really good access to their udders. Their udders are hanging about right here. And so then we start our milking procedure with them to get them all cleaned up and ready to go. I wanted to show you a few little steps that we use, when we're getting ready to milk. But like I said, it's kind of hard without a cow, so bear with me. When the cow walks in, and like I said, she comes in and gets situated, nose towards the wall and her butt right here. We first want to disinfect their teats and udder. This is actually a little tool we use called a foamer, and I'm hoping I still have some air in here. I'll show you. It releases a solution that actually cleans and disinfects their teats. That way, if any dirt or debris is on there, it's got a germ killer in it. That way everything stays nice and clean. So we take this solution and we dip each one of the cow's teats, and then we let it sit for 30 seconds. And then we'll come in, and actually we wear gloves. I don't have any on right now, but when we're actually milking, we wear gloves. Keeps our hands, cleaner, and keeps, transmission of germs down. We actually come in and strip some of the milk out of each of the 4 quarters. That way we can be sure the milk is nice and healthy. There's no signs of infection, and everything's going as it should. So, and then we come back and we'll also put this solution on them one more time. That way, if our hands were to actually spread something to the cow, this would help clean them up again and not spread any disease. And then we pull out our nice microfiber towels. We use 1 towel per cow. And then we go and wipe off each quarter. And after we do that, we toss them in a dirty rag bucket and don't use them again. They're washed and dried, and be sure they're all cleaned up and ready to go again. So now our cow is all clean and ready to go. We actually pull in our milker unit. Now, as you can see it here, it's actually in the position to clean itself. The milkers are cleaned every day, twice a day, through several different chemical cycles to be sure that they are squeaky clean. So like I said, it's hanging in a cleaning position right now, but I'm going to take it down just to show you. Okay, so we pop those little jetter cups off, and then we'll remove it just like this. Okay, so here we are. This is the actual milker unit itself. This is the contraption we call the claw. Okay, now to milk the cow, we actually fold it over like this. And as you can see, like you pull them up and attach one to each quarter of the cow. Okay, so she would be in here just like this. Let me pull it under here and attach it to her udder. So, and then if she was standing here, you just take the hook, put the hose in, and there it sits, just like that. So now when the cow is actually milking, the milk comes through right here, comes through this little inflation tube, and actually comes into these little portals right here. You can see there's actually 4 of them, which is very helpful for us because we can actually see the milk flowing in to be sure, a quarter is not stopping or slowing down. So anyway, the milk comes into these little cups down through this green hose right here and actually runs into this next sensor right here. What this is actually doing is measuring the weight, again, the weight of milk. And it's, excuse me, the data is actually coming back up through the wires and shows us how many pounds of milk that the cow is producing. So a lot of times this will have a number on here, like in the mornings, generally you see a lot of 60s and 50s on here. So it'll show up on this red display. This is also our start and stop buttons. That way we can control what's going on. However, most of the time we don't even have to hit the stop button. This sensor down in here that we just saw a second ago actually measures the milk flow of the cow. So when the cow is close to being done milking, her milk flow slows down, and this sensor is sensing that, and it actually cuts the air off. This is in this black hose, and we actually have a string that attaches here. Once the air is cut off, it loses suction on the cow and will actually detach and kind of draw itself up like this. So that way she's all done and milked and ready to go. The milker is ready for this next job. So anyway, like I said, very important piece of equipment. Use them every day, twice a day. And then we're done. We hang them all back up and we put these little jetter cups back on, because before we milk in the afternoons, the system will actually run through yet another sanitizing cycle before we even get started. All right, so like I said, we're pretending today, and so we have our cow and she's been milked. So what our last step is actually to seal her teat ends. We actually use this little piece of equipment called a dip cup, and it's got a little solution in here, and I'll show you. It's actually green, and it's actually real similar to food coloring. Just kind of shows you the coverage area on her teats to be sure that we're doing our job and getting her sealed up and ready for her afternoon of lounging and eating. So anyway, we go and we dip all 4 teats in this green dip solution, and then as soon as all 6 cows in the row are done, we open the gate and let them go off to their next stop. So
Wonderful.
now you might ask, what happens if a cow is sick and she needs medicine? Obviously she still has to be milked every day, whether she's had medication or not. But however, that milk is not allowed in our milk tank. So we actually have this handy little piece of equipment here. This is our milk can, our little milk can. And we can actually take this hose that I showed you actually runs down into the sensor and attach it to this bucket. And that way a treated cow's milk does not make its way into the tank. We can put it in here and dispose of it. That way it's not mixed in with the safe milk to drink. And we keep doing that until the treated cow is better and her milk has been tested just to be sure that everything's safe and safe to drink, and go from there. So definitely all very vital pieces of equipment here for us. Just wanted to share that with you. And
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a great question. I know many folks tend to have a question about that. So that's how your process is to pull that milk out, and that is what ensures everyone that the milk they're drinking is always 100% antibiotic free. It doesn't matter what the
Absolutely.
label says or if it says it or not. We can guarantee you guys are drinking clean, fresh milk because of farmers like Farmer Kim doing a good job.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, if we don't have any more questions in here, let's move along to our next stop.
Sure. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. So while you're walking to the next stop, we have some like random questions if you're good to answer any of those questions.
Sure.
All right. So we have some folks asking, how many hours do you work in a day? Is it a 9 to 5 type of job, or what's your kind of average day look like?
Okay. My average day, I actually come up here to the barn and start work at 5:30 in the morning, which has me waking up at about 4:30 in the morning. So we get started about 5:30, and then I'll come up here and I'll milk the cows and go and feed the baby calves and tend to some of the older ones. I get done with that, about 10 or 11 o'clock, and I actually go and work on the rest of the farm, which I'm going to show you here in just a few minutes. Then I come back up here at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon and start feeding calves and, tending to some of the older heifers. And, if a cow needs attention, I'll tend to her. And then, about 3:30 or so, I start getting ready, getting the barn ready, getting the milking parlor ready. 4 o'clock, we like to start, getting the ladies all rounded up and ready to milk. And we'll milk until about 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and then we do all of our cleaning. So generally, we don't leave the barn until about 6:30. So about 5:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. is a typical day for us. And then, if something happens, we have equipment that breaks down or we have some special needs cows or something like that, we can be up here pretty late. Sometimes, 7:30, 8 o'clock, and definitely a late supper for us. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, every day is full. There's always something to do. So no worries there. We're always busy.
And we did have one question come in from the parlor. Do you milk all the cows yourself, or do you have any employees on the farm that help you?
Most of the time it's myself and my husband, and we do have one part-time employee on weekday mornings, and she comes in and helps us milk, and she's responsible for washing down the parlor on weekday mornings after we get done. That way, we just have a little bit more free time to go out and make hay or tend to the crops or some of the other parts of the farm that we'll see here in just a few minutes. So yeah, but it's mainly myself and my husband and our son, and yeah, so definitely enough to keep us busy.
Great. Absolutely. Yeah. And feel free to, we can continue on to our tour then.
Okay. Um, you can see just maybe a little different angle of the girls here in the barn. You can see the way they stick their heads through the headlocks here. The way we actually came is actually the way the cows exit the milking parlor. So they all come down this side, which is actually keeping them separate from the cows that have not milked yet. If you look over to your left just a little bit, or my left, I don't know how it looks on your end. Anyway, this is our holding pen area, and this is where the cows actually all wait to be milked, because like I said, we can only hold 12 at a time. So it takes, a little while to get all 73 through there. So they all hang out and wait in this area. Now you might wonder why we keep them all pinned up in there, is that the actual barn is cleaned every day, twice a day, with a piece of machinery we call a skid loader. And we have a special attachment that actually, helps it clean out all the manure in the barn and get the floor scraped clean every day, twice a day. Now look, some of y'all were wondering where Mary Jane was. Mary Jane is actually right there. Come here, Mary Jane. I don't think she wants to come over here. Come here. There she is. There's Mary Jane. This is Millie's mama. So like I
Oh.
said, she is pregnant with her next calf, so we'll see, whether she gives us a sister to or a brother to Millie. Oh, there she is. Hi, Mary Jane. And she's gonna be all friendly with the camera too. Hi, sweet girl.
She looks so happy. Aw.
Yeah, she
It's
is a
almost like she
sweet
knows her
girl.
name.
I believe she does, honestly. She's very responsive to her name. There's several
Aw.
of them in here that are actually. Well, that's great. I'm glad she came over here where you guys could see her. As you can see, she looks a lot like Millie, kind of light in color. She does have a little bit of white on her head that Millie does not, but definitely some shared facial features there and that long tongue.
Wonderful.
All
Aw,
right.
thanks, Mary Jane, for
Yeah.
joining us.
Yeah. Well, let's slip out through here.
Absolutely.
And yeah, we're actually going to take a little gator ride to see a couple other features here on the farm.
Awesome. So while we hop in that gator and take a ride over to a new part, do you mind answering some more questions?
Sure.
Awesome. So we had I love this question. What a fun question. Is it fun to be a dairy farmer?
Of course. It is a lot of fun to be a dairy farmer. Like I said, we haven't been doing it all that long, the less than 4 years, and we've always enjoyed working with large animals, but the dairy cows are really seem to be a breed apart. They're full of personality. They, really like human interaction, which is a little something different than your typical beef cow farmer. So we really do enjoy our job, and it's hard days and no vacations and no sleeping in, but we really do enjoy it. So yes, it is a lot of fun to be a dairy farmer.
Good.
All right, so let's take a little ride.
Awesome. While we're taking that ride down, we had some folks wondering, do you make anything with your milk, like cheese, or do you bottle it, or does everything get sent to a processor?
Okay, well, our milk actually does not get processed at all here on the farm. Most of our milk is actually going under the Marva Made brand, and that plant is actually located in Charleston, West Virginia. So it might seem a little bit strange, that it is going out of state, but different cooperatives actually, handle different milk plants. So this is just the one that ours goes to. Now, I personally do like to make some things with our milk. I've made homemade yogurt and some like soft farmer's cheese and stuff. So anyway, that's another little perk of being a dairy farmer. You can actually play around with as much milk as you want. So, but no, for the most part, our milk does go into West Virginia under the Marva Made brand, and also there is another plant in Ohio where it goes under the United brand. So
Awesome.
yeah. Okay.
And another question about the mature cows. Mrs. Sims' class would like to know if you ever had twins or triplets.
Yes, I have had twins, actually, several sets. Actually, my very first set of twins is actually about a year and a half old. Their names are Laverne and Shirley, and we really were tickled to see them when they were born. We were not expecting twins, and we have had several sets born since then. So yes, we do have twins. I never experienced triplets before, but definitely that would be exciting now, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. I know it doesn't happen often, but every now and then a farm
Yeah.
gets blessed with 3.
Yeah. So here's another little side business we have here at the farm. This is actually one of our rows of peach trees. So we generally harvest peaches from late July into September. We do have a crew of helpers that comes along and helps us trim the trees, but we do most of the picking peaches ourselves. So it's definitely a busy summer job. trying to keep them all managed and picked. Um, they don't all come in at the same time, so it's a little easier. But we do usually harvest the peaches and take them to a local auction to be sold. There are some people that come here directly to the farm to buy them, but most of them go right to our local auction house. But when we're lucky enough to get a full crop off of these lovely trees, it's so nice to have fresh peaches around. And it's hard work. Peaches are heavy when get them in boxes and have to tote them around all day. But we really do enjoy having the trees here and having them be another little component of our farm. So
Great.
definitely, yeah, they're very pretty. Their blooms had actually already dropped off for the season, but here a week or two ago they were in full bloom and really pretty pink blooms all over the place, just beautiful.
Hmm.
So
Absolutely. And it's
yeah,
fun getting to kind of see your fields as we're taking this trip with you. So this is fun.
yeah. Here's a couple other little pieces of equipment as we're making our way. That black piece on the very end on the right, that's actually yet another manure spreader. Like we talked about earlier, manure is a very valuable resource for us. So we have a few different ways to spread it. Definitely cost-effective fertilizer. We also have tractor trailers and dump trucks because all this feed that the cows eat, we have to harvest it, we have to haul it, and we have to store it. So all those things require lots of equipment, which makes my husband very happy. But anyway, here's another little piece of equipment. This is actually called a bagger. You can see that big long white bag that's attached to it. Actually helps keep feed that still has moisture in it. That bag seals it up nice and tight. That way it actually goes through that fermenting process. We talked a little bit about that when we were with Elsie and Millie, how that fermenting process keeps a lot of nutrients in feed. But this, like I said, this piece definitely helps us with that. And usually the rows are about 150-foot long. So if you ever see, riding down the road and you see these long bags along the highway, you can speak up and tell somebody what those are.
That's right. They're not just giant white caterpillars.
That's right.
That's the important feed for your cows, to feed the cows.
That's right. Okay, here we are at our what we call our trench silos. And this is where we store the majority of our silage. That whole stalk of corn chopped up like we talked about, that's fermented. It takes a lot of that every day to feed our cows. We generally feed about 9,000 pounds every day to our 73 cows.
Now, just to get a perspective, about how tall is that pile of feed?
Okay, hold on. I'll give you a little perspective here. I myself am about 5'9". So here I am at the bottom, and you can see it is way above my head.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, and these are actually 12-foot cement walls that I'm standing next to, and you see the pile actually goes way above that. And so definitely a mountain of stuff.
Yeah. Those
Like I
ladies
said,
are eating good.
yes, they are. As you can see here, I can't even hardly get my hand into it. Like it's very firm, which is good because that helps keep its quality. This is like a sample of what the nutritionist we talked about. He would come and take samples of this just to be sure that we get all the information right about how the cow's feed needs to be mixed. So yeah, this is one of our trench silos.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I believe we're heading there shortly, or a part of it, but people have been asking if there are any other animals on the farm other than cows.
Yeah, let's go see if we can find them.
All right, sounds good. So I know
Yeah.
there were some questions early on, and we had said you're gonna have to hold on for a little bit. That it's just kind of the second part of the farm tour. So hopefully, you're able to see some of those other animals that they have on the farm.
Yeah, absolutely. We have currently we have pigs and we have a few sheep right now. That way back in the beginning of the tour, I actually mentioned a little bit that we have a retail pork sausage business, um, which was actually started, right along in 1955. Um, when the farm got started as a beef cow operation. So we actually still have customers that come and see us every week to purchase fresh homemade sausage. Um, if you've caught the back of my sweatshirt on the camera, it's actually got our business on there, Martin Farms homemade sausage. Um, so definitely, we have a good following of customers that come see us. They enjoy a sausage, and we enjoy producing it. We've met a lot of really nice people along the way, and a lot of people depend on us for their breakfast in the mornings.
Yeah.
So let's go up in here and see if we can find some pigs.
Awesome. While you're parking, and we've been passing all of this beautiful land, someone had asked how much land is on your farm.
This particular piece is 287 acres of land. So, and then we also rent several acres too. So we probably farm close to 600 acres. So this particular piece is 287.
That is a lot of land to take care of, and
Yeah,
cows on top of it and everything else.
absolutely. Okay, let's see if we can venture in here and find a pig. Okay, go through here. Oh boy, I think they're sleeping. Just important part of farming. If you go through a gate that's shut it back. Okay, here we go. Here are some pigs. Oh my, look at them in here.
Oh my goodness, they are.
This is what they like doing. They like just laying around, lounging, getting fat.
Oh my goodness, they look
Come here,
so
little
cute.
piggy. There he is. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, their destiny is the breakfast table, but that's part of farming. So we
Yep, absolutely.
we
There's all kinds of agriculture and animal agriculture, and these lovely piggies are, their purpose is for food.
yeah we generally feed and raise about 100 head of hogs per year. So not a huge amount, but just enough to keep our retail business going strong. But like I said, as you can see, this is how they spend their day. They really just like to lay around and enjoy being lazy.
They're living a good life. They really
Yeah,
are.
yeah, they are. Okay. Well, you guys
Awesome.
keep laying there, pigs. Yeah, you're doing your job.
Thank you for sharing them with us, and hopefully
Yeah, you're welcome.
everyone that was looking forward to seeing some other animals, there are some cute piggies on their farm.
Okay, well, let's see if we can make our way through these gates again. Then we'll show you another little. Here, hold on. I have to shut this gate for just a second. Okay, perfect.
Wonderful.
All right, well, let's make our way down here to yet another aspect of our farm is our greenhouses. If any of you have ever, had a garden with your mom and dad or your grandma and grandpa, chances are most of the plants you're planting started out in a place similar to this. You'll see actually where we're at now outside, it is actually a little chilly and a little windy. But if you step inside the greenhouse here, it's actually nice and warm. The natural ability of the plastic covering keeps it draft free pretty much, and actually raises the temperature by several degrees. So it's perfect environment for starting little plants. Here we see some tomato plants. You can see there's just growing up, starting to get big, and a little description tag of what they are. We raise several thousand flats of these every year. Generally, our plant season starts in February of every year and runs until about the end of June. As you can see, this is what they look like when they just get started, coming up out of the dirt. And then when they get a little more mature, like some of these right here, we actually pick them up and separate each one and plant them into these individual little pots. So definitely a little time consuming. Some days a little monotonous, but we really enjoy working in here and getting to work with the plants, especially in something like February or early March. It's definitely chilly outside, and you can come in here when the sun is shining, and it can be as warm as 75 degrees, even if it's cold outside.
Wow.
So yeah,
That's
it's
incredible.
definitely nice. We'll just walk through here and you see some more of them, and I'll show you our big greenhouse. The plants all get started in this smaller greenhouse until they get a little more mature. As you can see, some of these bigger plants right here that are ready to move next door into our second greenhouse. You'll see where we keep the majority of the older plants. This greenhouse that we're getting ready to go into has a little less heat in it than the one we just left. So here we go. Looks like a carpet of tomato plants. Yeah, there's many different varieties in here. And like I said, we do have a little bit of air flowing in here. That way it doesn't stay quite as warm. Gets them ready to be planted a little bit better. All these, as you can see, they're just a little bit taller. But they still have their same ID tags in. That way everybody knows what kind of tomatoes or peppers or what have you that they do grow. Here we have a few marigold flowers. They have not bloomed yet. They're working on it. So as you can see, that's how they start. I think that might be a yellow flower coming along there. So
wonderful. Yeah. And I know, you guys grow, thousands and thousands of plants, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any idea of how many it actually is, or is it just thousands?
Well, let's see. Yeah, like I said, anybody that likes to do math, if you take about 1,800 of these flats, just like this, okay, and they hold 36 plants per flat. So whatever that is, that's about how many plants it is. It's several thousand plants.
Wow.
And that's, like I said,
mathematicians.
Yeah. So like I said, each and every one of those has to be separated and transplanted. So it's definitely a lot of work for us.
Absolutely.
Now I'll just have you take a little quick peek in here at the third greenhouse. This is just a little greenhouse. We keep all the squash and cucumber plants in here. So I don't know if any of y'all like to eat vegetables. But yeah, this is where we keep all the little squash and cucumber plants. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Now I would love, thank you for sharing these greenhouses, and I'd like to challenge anyone that's watching. There is actually an activity out there where after you're done drinking your milk or chocolate milk out of your school cartons, you can take your empty carton of milk and plant one of these plants in your carton and grow something yourself. So I challenge all of you watching to maybe try growing your own plants and seeing if you can be like Farmer Kim and grow your own tomato plant or your own pepper plant, of course, after drinking your 8 servings or 8 ounces or 6 ounces of milk for the day.
That's an excellent idea. Very, very cool. Now, I actually did do a little bit of math myself. Curiosity got me. The milk tank that I showed you a little bit earlier, if you broke that down into the 8-ounce glasses of milk that we have at breakfast, it's 20,000 8-ounce glasses of milk that milk tank can hold. So anyway, I just thought that was neat. Thought I would share with you all.
Wow. So one tank is feeding 20,000 people an 8-ounce glass of
That's
milk.
yeah,
That is incredible. All from
yeah,
73 cows. Go
yep.
cows.
I know.
They're working hard.
Yeah, they
Although
are.
they seem to really be living an incredible life. Like they get the perfect diet, they have the perfect airflow, best beds to sleep on. Like they really they live a luxury life for sure.
I'm telling you, they really do. Here's another little piece of equipment we're passing here, and that's a land management piece right there. It rips up the ground and gets it ready to plant corn, breaks up, soil compaction and also smooths it back out. Try not to get hit on the road here. Okay.
Awesome. So I believe if I'm correct, we're heading back to our calves. Is that correct?
Yep, we
Awesome.
sure are.
So on our way back, we did have some other questions that were coming in earlier, so we might as well answer them as we're
Okay.
driving. So some students had asked and wanted to know if a vet ever comes out to your farm. Do they ever have to get shots? Does the vet have to take care of them? What does that look like?
Oh, absolutely. We actually have a routine vet visit. The vet comes every other month, and he does everything from checking the herd's health, um, to checking on pregnancies, and also addressing any other issues we might be having. Not to mention, he's also on call for us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Um, so yeah, definitely full access to a veterinarian. As you can see behind me, here's a few more of the dry cows, kind of a little bit closer. Um, and yes, they do actually receive several sets of vaccinations. Um, for instance, Millie and Elsie have already had 3 different sets of shots or vaccinations, and they will receive 2 more sets before they actually become mature milk cows. And then the mature milk cows, they actually receive vaccinations 2 times per year also. And then, of course, if somebody is not feeling well or having an issue in between, they get shots or treatment for any of that kind of things as well. So yes, definitely lots of, full-time care, lots of preventative care. We that's our job. We just really want to be sure that everybody is nice and healthy. Um, we're doing all we can to make that happen.
Absolutely. And thank you for taking good care of them. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So you had mentioned those dry cows. Obviously, they're the ones that are pregnant. We had a question from Brady. How many cows are pregnant right now on your farm?
Right now, there's okay. There's the dry cows that are in the field. Of course, we all know they're pregnant. And then generally about 50% of the cows that are actually in this barn right here are pregnant. Some of them have just recently had their calf, and so they have to wait just a little while before they're able to, carry their next calf. They need to, heal and, be sure they're in their best health, before we get ask them to carry another calf. Um, so yeah, I'd say about 50% of the milking herd, and then we also have, of course, have the dry cows. So I hope that answers it for you.
Yeah,
Sometimes things don't go perfectly, but like I said, we monitor all the cows very closely, and so we try to manage that best we can. Hi,
absolutely.
girls.
Do the cows get to eat any treats other than the feed that you had showed us? Is there anything else they get? Or I mean, that pretty much includes
I
everything, but
I have tried really hard to get them to eat treats because I also have a background with horses, and horses love treats. And so I was a little confused that the cows just didn't want anything else. And so I guess that's a good sign, actually, that they're getting everything that they need. But I thought I would spoil them a little bit with some treats, but they just don't like what I have to offer them. Yeah, I tried like watermelon and cantaloupe and different things. Occasionally they will take a little fresh clump of green grass out of my hand, but for the most part, no, they don't like my treats.
Oh my goodness. I know a personal story. There used to be a cow on a farm that I used to work at that loved cookies. Her name was Zelda, and she would be the first one in the parlor expecting a cookie every day. But that's very unique. That was one out of how many hundreds of cows. So yeah,
Yeah.
they get what they want in their feed, and that's about it. Oh my goodness. So here we're back with Millie and Elsie, and we'd love to get some close-ups here. We're getting ready to wrap up, but we did just have just a few questions yet. We'd certainly take any other questions you guys have, but we wanted to show off Elsie and Millie before we signed off. A great question that we had, and this is actually good while we see them. Their class wants to know if calves have horns.
Yes, they do actually. If you look at Millie here a little bit, you can actually see her horns kind of coming out from her head. Now, they do have horns, but we actually will let them undergo a procedure to get them removed. This is not painful for them. They're given pain medication and also numbing to do the procedure, and so they hardly know what's going on. I think they actually feel the shots a little bit more than they do the dehorning. It is important for us to remove the horns because, not only can they hurt other cows, they can hurt us. In general, they can be very pushy when it comes, to using their horns. Hogging up feed, trying to, keep others away. And so generally, removing the horns is best practice, for them and us. So yes, most of them do have horns, but we do remove them.
Wonderful. Oh my goodness, they look so cozy in their pen. Let's see. Malago's fourth graders wanted to know, what is your heaviest cow on the farm?
Our heaviest cow weighs about 1,700 pounds.
Wow.
She is a bigger. This actually happens to be that very heavy producing cow we mentioned earlier in the milk room that milks 130 pounds per day. So she is not only a heavy milker, but she's also a very big girl.
Oh my goodness. A great question, and we can probably let this be our wrap-up question. And it's kind of a two-part, I would say. So before COVID, did you ever give any tours, or do you allow anyone on your farm to help and have that experience? And then kind of with that, how has COVID affected you guys as a farm, and how have you worked through it?
Well, for the most part, I have hosted a few 4-H tours. Really good little organization. Maybe only once or twice per year. COVID really didn't affect us a whole lot. Our milk truck driver still, ran his normal routine for us. We didn't really have any interruptions in any other service other than just some annual meetings, for different groups that we work with. We weren't able to do that. But for the most part, our job is just to stay here and work. And so we don't have much of a social life anyway. So no, COVID did not really affect our day-to-day operations much at all.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah. I mean, you've heard the words of essential workers, and they continued the job. Farmer Kim is an essential worker. They couldn't stop. Okay. It's just like humans. After humans have a baby, humans produce milk. You can't just stop producing milk. It doesn't happen overnight. So
No.
you guys had to keep milking and take care of the ladies. That's part of taking care of them. So thank you for, no matter what our environments and sicknesses that came across for humans, that you guys were able to keep it up and produce healthy, wholesome milk and pigs and crops and everything else. So it's good to hear you guys weren't really affected by COVID, and everything
Yeah.
went well. Awesome. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up our questions. I'd like to just say thank you, everyone, for all of those great questions. We've really enjoyed getting to chat with you. We hope you enjoyed getting to see Farmer Kim, Millie and Elsie and touring their farm. I must say, Farmer Kim, your farm is very impressive. It is fun to getting to see all the different avenues on your farm. And as everyone can tell, they're hard workers, and there's a lot that they do to not only take care of your community, but they do a lot to take care of their environment and are active supporters and inputs into the economy. So dairy farmers are really important, vital pieces to our community to make the world run. So thank you, Farmer Kim, for everything you and your husband and your son do, and sharing adorable Millie and Elsie with us. They've been a lot of fun to get to watch grow up. We've got some thank yous coming in. Thank you, Farmer Kim. So yes, thank you so much. Farmer Kim, do you have any last few words you'd like to say before we sign off for today?
Yeah, I mean, I just have really enjoyed this project and sharing it with you guys, and monitoring Millie and Elsie as they grow up. Um, I hope you all have enjoyed the experience and choose to do it again next year. Thank you guys for joining us, and remember to tell everybody how much fun you had with the Adopt a Calf program. And thanks again for following along.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone. It was great chatting with you. And it was great to see that live chat so active. As a reminder, this will be recorded and posted on our YouTube channel. So you will be able to go back and watch any bits of it that you'd like at any time. If you wanted to go back and see Millie and Elsie one more time, you can gladly do that. So thank you again. And we will be in touch with you soon. Bye, everybody. Bye, Farmer Kim.
Bye. Thank you.